Valley Campers Q&A with me, Lee, and the rest of the team who join in every week and we do a series of questions and answers for you. Normally we do questions on campervan conversions or traveling or anything about Combe Valley Campers or the YouTube video. So if it's your first time, please feel free to, first of all, let us know who you are down in the comments. I can see your not your Instagram name, your YouTube username, but what we like to do is we like to learn who you are. So your name, the camper van you drive or the project you've got coming up and your location. It's really, really good to sort of break the ice. Let us know who you are, just so I'm not talking to your YouTube avatar handle, whatever you want to call it. So thank you so much, everybody, for coming in and watching with us today and contributing today. Let's get on with it. I can see we've already got a few people in the chat, so I'll just open up the comments now, which is always good fun. First of all, we have John Sear who's in. He says, hello, Lee. Good evening, my man. Motivates back again. One of our team 333 he says, hey, guys, go gear. Nice to see you, my man. Really, really good to see you this evening. John's also come in and he said, thanks for checking the availability of the Dispatch double swivel. Not a problem at all, my man. We are going to be on to our manufacturers to see if we can get that under development, that's for sure. Brighton Car Keys, my man Rich is on. He says, dude, thanks for the mention in the video today. Glad you got the central locking sorted. Well, if you've watched the video, yes, we did get the central locking sorted. However, it's decided to flip back on me in the last couple of weeks. So if you have watched the video so far, I am actually going to have to go into that central locking system again and probably reroute a new wire or rewire a new thing, a new cable from the body control module all the way back to the central locking part in the door. Which is no big deal because we are going to be taking the doors apart again very, very soon because we've got some new sound deadening products from Dodomat to show you. It's their new sound quality range and we cannot wait. We cannot wait to show you them. 89 Thunder Chunky, he says, hey, Lee and everyone, will you be at Heretics in April? Yes, do you know what? We will be at Heretics in April and I will more than likely be bringing the 2K T5. LN says, buenas noches, good evening, LN. John Sear says, I'm 32 minutes into the video, the point where you just fixed your mistake. Ah, yes. Yeah, that's the point where I spent ages trying to adjust the window to go up and down and then realised I hadn't plugged the central locking cable in because I'm a bit of a doofus. So, but it's all good. It's all good fun. And you've got to make light of these things, haven't you? James says, evening, Lee. Good evening, James. Nice to have you in. Motivate says, is it easy to attach handles to the front pillars from the inside? What, the grab handles you mean? I think both sides are set up for grab handles, left and right, although you might need to find some brackets for the inside. Confirm for us or describe further what you want us to look into, my man. Flying Benny says, hey, I'm new. Am I allowed in here owning a custom and not a transporter? Of course. Combe Valley Campers is called Combe Valley Campers because we're all accepting of all camper vans. We're not just Volkswagens. Yes, I'm a VW guy. You know, cut me, I bleed VW, but camper vans, we accept and embrace all shapes and sizes because effectively, camper vans, the way I see it is if you've got a van from the front seats back, they're all the same, really. You all need a bed and furniture and electrics and all that sort of stuff. So we are all accepting. We've converted plenty of Transit Customs and worked on plenty of Transit Customs in the past, as well as Mercedes and Vauxhalls and Renaults and Citroens and all sorts of stuff. Campervan love, absolutely. And that's why we hold Campers and Coffee, not Volkswagens and Coffee. You know, because although VWs you find everywhere, we love camper vans of all shapes and sizes, that's for sure. M says, hi Lee, are the flush slider windows back in stock for T5 yet? Flush slider windows. We don't have them in our shop, actually, the flush sliding windows. But we have ties with Transport HQ who do sell the flush side windows, so I shall be in touch with them this week. And I shall let you know. Danny Sykes says, good evening, everyone. Thanks for everyone's time. Look forward to these. Oh, it's very nice to have you here, Danny. Motivate says, yes, left and right grab handles. Yes, so if you were on a T5, T6, if you were to remove that A-pillar trim, where you bolt a grab handle into that A-pillar, there's either, I think there's captive nuts or there's a bracket with like a captive threaded insert inside. So if you have the inserts, if you have a handle on the left, then you will see the inserts. If you don't have those inserts on the right, I think you can get them. I think you can look up the VW part number and retrofit them. I think they're riveted into the A-pillar. David Bailey says, hi everyone. Hi David, thank you for joining, as well as Adrian Johnson. He says, good evening. John Sear says, can you attach a roof box to a pop top? Yes, you can attach a roof box to a pop top. However, depending on the van, depending on the brand or make of the roof, I would highly recommend you check with the manufacturers of that roof before you go ahead and attach anything. A lot of more modern roofs now have aluminium sort of substructures within the fiberglass cap to enable you to carry weight and put boxes and things on your pop tops. It is possible. I would definitely check with the manufacturer or the brand, the people who make the roofs, check with them first to see if it's a feasible thing to do. Taxi driver's in. He says, good evening, Leigh and all, from Mad Mossy in Bath. Good evening, my man. Nice to have you in. Silver Fox Build says, hi, at Flying Benny, transit owner here. We've got Silver Fox Builds in the house as well. He's had some interesting luck this week looking at his stories. If you want to see a good, comprehensive campervan build, go and see Silver Fox Builds on Instagram, that's for sure. Danny Sykes. Danny Sykes says, heard you say on the video uploaded tonight, Leigh, you're not a big stereo guy. Taking it you prefer the sound of engine when driving. I love creating a playlist for a good long drive. Yeah, do you know what? I mean, when you get your first car, the first thing you do is throw a set of 6x9s and a sub in it and everything else. I guess it's through having kids in the car for the last 10 years, really. You know, you've got the sounds of their devices or they've got their playlists on. And in fact, my wife and I were chatting about it, that we went to a gig. We went to go and see, gosh, who did we see again? I can't, the names escape me. Nick Mulvey. We went to go and see Nick Mulvey in Brighton on Friday evening. And just listening to the sound of that music and the quality of the sound system in that gig makes me really want to get a decent sound system again and start recreating the playlists that I used to have. Everybody, I guess, used to have playlists of old on their iTunes or the CD book collections, stuff like that, showing my age for sure, or record collections, tape collections, whatever you had back in the day. But yeah, I'd really like to get back into the music, and hopefully putting a decent stereo system in this vehicle will encourage me to definitely start creating a better backlog of music. But yes, I do like the sound of the engine, but I also listen to podcasts and stuff as well. Gary Plumley says, another Transit Custom owner here. Nice work. Thank you for joining us, Gary. Tony Lost in a VW. Good evening, Tony. He says, evening, people. Tony, my coffee man. Flying Benny says, thanks, Leigh. Have you ever fitted windows in a twin slider custom? I'm struggling to get a definite answer. What fits the right-hand door? Yes, absolutely. If you were to look at the likes of Camper Glass, which is a derivative of Transporter HQ, yes, that's right. They do have windows for most vans, most sides, most sliding doors, etc., etc. However, if you want us to supply or fit the windows, please feel free to email us at info@combevalleycampers.co.uk. Very busy this evening already. We're not even 10 minutes in. There's 33 of you here. We have 7 thumbs up already and loads of questions, which is fantastic. Oh, that's a quick one. As I say in most of the videos, if you do enjoy the content, if you do enjoy being here, if you like the live, you like this hour that we do, please feel free to show your thanks by giving the video a thumbs up. There should be a thumbs up logo somewhere around the screen. I can't see the same screen you have. But there should be a thumbs up screen. If you would be kind enough to go and hit that thumbs up, that would be amazing. I'd love you forever, that's for sure. Taxi driver says, I told some of my minibus passengers last night about you in the Sunday evening live chat. Please say hello to Rosie in London, who has a T4 on a restoration project. Good evening, Rosie. Well, thank you for spreading the love, Mossy. I really appreciate that. Gosh, so quick show of hands. Who has so far watched our latest video upload? Little emoji in the comments. Stick your hand up if you have. That was an interesting video, actually. We had to film it over 2 days, mainly because of that central locking fault that we found. I was under the impression that the actual solenoid in the door was bust. So on investigating the door, and I kind of took you guys with me on the video, I went to go and fault find the door, discovered it was actually the cable going through from the door to the body control module underneath the seat that was broken. So that was a really interesting one. It took hours to try and at least get to the point where we were at the video. I know Ali does a fantastic job of cutting things up and everything else. And it only seems like we were there for 10 minutes, whatever it may be. But yeah, that was a lot of head scratching to try and get that fault sorted, bearing in mind the body control module, all the terminations were corroded and everything else. So yeah, really interesting video that. So if you haven't already, go and check it out. It was good fun. But next video you are going to really enjoy. That's for sure. Motivate says, I heard you say something about sound deadening the front doors of the 2KT5. Isn't the front doors designed for water to run through? Would materials in the door hinder water running through? Now, it depends what vehicle you do have. Yes, they are designed to have water run through to a point. In the design of the door, basically the window... Okay, trying to envisage this for people, or trying to put it in some sort of context. Yes, your water, the doors of your vehicle are designed to have water run through them. And if you were to think about how a door is built up, the door is like a shell, and then the glass runs up through it. So as the water would run in the cavity or through the exterior rubber, if water does get through, your rubbers might be in really good condition. The water would then run down through the remainder of the window and then down to the bottom of the door. It's rare that water would actually, you know, travel across and down through the door. So, but that is why you do see vehicles that have membranes in the door to stop things like door cards, especially door cards of old, like cardboard door cards and things like that. They'd have membranes in the door to stop the moisture getting into those door cards and then making them go all rot and damp and all that sort of stuff. So yes, the doors are designed to have water come through, but not necessarily through that outer skin. Adrian Johnson has come back and says, Jungle back in the day with two 12-inch subs in the back of a Mark 1 GTI going to the GTI International in Surrey. That sounds like a blast, actually. Yeah, well, Jungle was never my thing. I was a bit more indie, a bit more rock, a bit more punk, that sort of stuff. That's the sort of stuff I was into. A lot of dance music as well, actually. Really mixed it up. John Sear says, when it comes to 240-volt hookup, are you a flap on the side or more of a stealth look? It totally depends on the build, actually. A lot of people who build really sleek-looking T5, T6s, or they've got a combi van and they don't want an ugly flap on the side. Some of these more stealth options are absolutely fantastic now. There's lots of companies out there that have hidden options for 240-volt hookups. For example, in T5, T6s, the whole front VW emblem is designed to work like a petrol flap, and you click it and it opens out, and then your 240-volt hookups on the inside of that. If you've seen our stories recently, we've used the Transporter HQ method of the panel under the rear light that you can sort of swing round. Lots of different options out there for stealth. Sometimes you have them underneath the van. When it comes to the 2KT5, we are going function over form. So we are going to have plugs on the side, we're going to have all sorts of utilities on the side of the vehicle, because there's going to be no hiding that that is a adventure vehicle camper van, that's for sure. Flying Benny's come back in and says, I'm sure I tried camper glass and their glass wouldn't work with the window in the rear quarters. I think it overhangs the rear door. Okay, well, if you want to look into it further, like I said, just ping us over an email, info@combevalleycampers.co.uk, and we'll look into it further for you for sure. Brighton Car Keys has given us a thumbs up. Danny Sykes says, just took my door cards off on my 2006 T5 to dye them black. Felt your pain getting the door cards back on, took a while to get lined back up. Yeah, absolutely, Danny. If you're not used to it, it can be quite a difficult job, that's for sure. Taxi driver says, I will watch the video later. Danny's come back in and says, I've been weighing up the pros and cons of respray versus wrap. Do you have any insight apart from the cost difference? Being quoted 2K for a wrap and 3 to 4K for a respray. Are you getting the new T5 resprayed? Yes, we are going to get the T5 painted purely because it's that high mileage, that old. Everything is worn out. All the door edges are worn out. There's some scabby parts. We're doing a front end facelift more than likely. I know that's a big debate. And I still haven't 100% decided, but yes, more than likely we're going to go for a front end face upgrade. We're going to go for a tailgate instead of barn doors. All of these things we will do on video, so it will benefit all of you as well. But generally, yes, there's some dents and dings and scratches. This is going to be not only a van on video that you can enjoy, but we are going to be using it as a promotional tool as well. It is a company vehicle. We are going to be sign writing it and emblazing it with our YouTube channel and stuff like that. For when we go traveling, people can see how we built that vehicle. So in order to do a wrap, you need good paint. If I was to wrap that vehicle, yeah, it'd look different. It would look okay, but it wouldn't be brilliant. So we've got some good contacts locally who are going to take us on the journey of painting that vehicle with you, or we're going to do it in the house. We haven't 100% decided yet. Next question. Sorry, if you see me pausing and bringing my arm up, it's because I'm scrolling through the comments on my phone as I'm doing this live, that's for sure. Motivate says, so is it okay to sound and insulate the door between the window and the outer part of the door? Is it okay to sound and insulate the door between the window and the outer part of the door? Yes, absolutely. Yeah, so I see that a lot, especially bearing in mind that's where the speakers are mounted, is on that inner skin of a T5, T6 door. A lot of people do sound deaden that because obviously you get a lot of reverberation through a single panel. Despite it being quite heavily contoured and having lots of fixtures and fittings on it, plus a window mechanism on the back, there is space on there to fit things like sound deadening. But we will go through more of that with an up-and-coming video. So in terms of that, actually, we are going to be doing a security system. We are going to be doing a stereo. We're going to be doing sound deadening to go with that stereo as well. So we're not quite finished on the cab yet. I know we haven't actually started converting it into a camper van, but I believe going through all of these processes is still very valuable to show you and the rest of the audience, because most people out there will just get a trade van, you know, like a tradie van or a combi. And normally if you buy a used vehicle, especially one as cheap and as high mileage as this one, you are going to need to clean, you are going to need to repair bits and pieces. So filming these videos is not for our benefit, really. Buying a shitty old van is not necessarily for our benefit. It's for everybody's at home, so we can film all the episodes, and for, you know, van owners in the future to be able to use those informative videos to help in the future. Sorry, bear with us 1 second. Excuse me. Oh, what are we all drinking tonight? Leave me a comment. I'm just on squash. No alcohol today. It's been a long week and I want an early night. So yeah, no alcohol tonight, but what are you all drinking tonight? Anyone got tea, coffee, bit of whiskey, got a lager? What you drinking tonight? Next comment, taxi driver says, do you know of a good mod kit to change my side, front, drivers and passenger door windows from manual wind up to electric? Maybe a bolt-on retrofitting. Yes, Mossy, I would have a look at a universal kit from the likes of eBay. I'm sure they're out there and I've seen them be used before, especially on some of the older vehicles where you can't get like a bolt-on kit. And that will either replace your standard wind-up motor, or it will have an electric motor and a mechanism to drive your manual wind-up motor. I don't know for certain, and I haven't used one of those before. Normally, if there's a kit available, I will do one. I might even do one on a 2K T5, do a electric window upgrade. And if I do, I'll take you all with me. Mint Sauce, good evening. He says, hello, just finished watching the latest vid. Very helpful. You are more than welcome. John Sear has got a coffee. Adrian Johnson got a coffee. Excellent. I should really get a coffee, actually. But saying that, I have just said I want an early night, and that is for sure. I was up early this morning. I went out to go and work on that splitty. If you follow us on Instagram, I've been working on a split screen, 21 window split screen Samba locally for a friend of mine, and I've been updating everybody in the Instagram stories. So if you want to check it out, have a look. Chris Kingy, good evening. I hope I've said that right. Been offered a 2013 by TDI on 225k. Does this mean it's past the stage of going wrong, or is it still a ticking time bomb? Check out which turbo diesel it is. I know there were a lot of problems with previous versions of bi-turbos, and truth be told, I am not a T5 engine gearbox combination expert. Generally, I don't mind higher mileage vehicles for the exact reason that you have just said. If things are going to go wrong, major things like gearboxes or clutches or flywheels or drive shafts, most of those things have already gone wrong, you know, at the 150,000 mile mark. Generally, those things have been replaced. However, that doesn't mean you are going to get a completely fault-free car, as you have seen on our videos. You know, nothing worked on a 2K T5. Central locking didn't work. The thing stank. There's no stereo in it. All the ball joints were knackered. It needed tyres and wheels and bushes and trailing arms and all sorts of stuff. Be careful what you're spending, but also buy the best you can afford. Just so happens we could afford $2,000 for a T5, and it's the one we found. So yes, don't rush into anything when it comes to buying your dream van. Do lots of research, and if you are unsure as to what you're looking at, obviously put in some of the time in terms of forums and Google searches and things like that. But also, you know, maybe pay for one of these RAC or AA services. I think they're anywhere between 50 and 100 quid. You have a trained technician go down, look at the van, and go in there and give you a full report. But also, what's worth doing is doing some of these online checks also. We've had a customer recently who did all the checks on the recent purchase of a T6 Combi. Everything came back squeaky clean. No write-offs, great history, no debt, yada yada, all of those wonderful things to do with buying a vehicle. And it turns out when we started stripping out the vehicle, removing all the panels, we realised that the whole long side of the van, from the B-pillar to the rear of the van, had been replaced in its life. It was a one-piece panel. Whoever did it did a fantastic job, a really, really good A-class job of replacing this whole longside panel, but it hadn't shown up on the history, it hadn't shown up on any checks, nothing like that. The owner didn't know, the seller didn't know, the dealership didn't know, and what we suspect is the whole longside panel was replaced very, very early in the van's life, maybe even before the van was registered, which is why it didn't come up on a history check. So yes, definitely double check before you go buy. Next comment. Cool, we're just scrolling through. Motivate says, oh, I'm taking you up on the diesel heater fitting. Planning on driving over to the UK in mid-May-ish, and I'm drinking a chai tea. Excellent. Well, I look forward to meeting you, Goggy. Taxi driver is also saying, enjoying a nice pot of tea. John Sear is at decaf. Flying Benny says, thanks, Leigh. Just got back from a bike ride, and it's got to be Yorkshire tea. Very nice. We're out Yorkshire tea at the minute. In fact, I think we need to go get some tomorrow. Matt Coulson says, hi. I took my T25 down to Hastings today and noticed that the water temp gauge didn't go up past the white section of the gauge, where it usually goes, roughly midpoint. Any ideas if this is an issue? Matt Coulson, first of all, thanks for coming down to the southeast. We're in the next town, actually, in Bexhill, but we had our last Campers and Coffee at Hastings. In terms of the temperature gauge, are you talking about the white point in the middle or the white point on the left? It says It didn't go up past the white section of the gauge where it usually goes, roughly midpoint. So have a look at your levels in the back of the van. Maybe worth bleeding the water system. There might be air in the system, or definitely a colder day today, but normally you would show up a temperature. If you're unsure of what you're looking at, definitely take it to a trusted mechanic who knows these vehicles, but it might be worth initially just checking all the fluid levels to see if they're all topped up. Danny Sykes, he says, spice rum and Diet Coke going down lovely. Maybe too good for a Sunday evening. That sounds awesome. Love a bit of spice rum. Simon Massey says, evening Leigh and all. Sorry I'm late. Clock's changing has thrown me right off today. Drinking tea here. Getting ready for a week of tackling rust on the underside of my T5. Fun times. Simon, whereabouts is the rust on your T5? On ours in particular, the only little bit of rust we have, excluding the rear doors, is just a little bit under the driver's side door sill. That's about all we've got. And it's not rusted through, it's just a little bit of bubbling. Tony says, just cut up the base box for the T4, had two 12-inch and a single 15 sub in it, jeez, to make a desk for my home office, a sign of my age. Two 12-inch and a single 15, that is awesome. Did it have the crackle finish or the carpet finish? Those who know will know. John Sears says, getting a vehicle report is well worth it. My 85k van now has a new DMF and clutch paid for by the garage. Bloody hell, that is good. DMCC, is that a reference to a DeLorean at all, or is it just a username? It says, thanks to the vids Leigh, greetings from Ireland. What curtains would you recommend for a Peugeot Expert long wheelbase day van 2016 plus? I would take a look at any of the multiple campervan supplier companies and look for a universal curtain kit with a top and bottom rail. Normally, although they, and we've done this before, we've specified, oh, it's a T5 or it's a T4, it's a Transit Custom, and its curtains are this long and this high, etc., etc. Despite what you classify that van as when you're ordering the items, they always come as a universal kit anyway, and you've got to bend them and twist them and cut them short and everything else. So have a look at the universal kits that are designed to be bent into shape, and you put the end caps on and stuff like that. But in terms of a larger van, I would definitely go for one with a top and bottom rail. And the reason for that is, obviously, back in the day, bay windows and Type 25s and splitties all had curtains where they had a rail at the top. And most vans aren't square. Luton vans are square, box vans are square, but most vans, the sides are like this. So if you have a curtain rail hanging off the side, the curtains are hanging down here, and you get a light gap or an air gap underneath that curtain. So what you want to do is try and find a curtain set with a top and bottom rail so you don't get that light escaping through underneath. Just checking the comments. Sorry, that's not me just going quiet. Just checking the comments. Motivate says, I just finished installing an internal momentary switch for the tailgate, so I don't have to get out and open the tailgate from the outside. I felt so proud of myself knowing I didn't fuck it up. An internal momentary switch for the tailgate, so I don't have to get out and open the tailgate from the outside. Very nice. Nice little mod. Write us down a blog on how you did it, and then maybe we'll publish it on our website. Matt Coulson says, white point on the left. Matt Coulson, what was your previous comment, Matt? Oh, white point on the left, yes. So yeah, definitely have a check of fluid levels for sure. And if you don't know how to bleed the coolant system on a Type 25, go to Club 8090, go to their wiki section, look on how to bleed and flush a Type 25 coolant system, and give that a try first. Hopefully it's nothing as bad as like a head gasket, but definitely check. Or water pump, could be water pump, could be a thermostat, could be a temperature gauge that's faulty and not reading right, but definitely check your fluid levels first and maybe bleed the system. Agent Johnson, crackle finish, yeah, Bear Cheap Thrills Adventures is in. Good evening. He says, my T6 T28 van is sitting low at the back. Can I fit T32 rear springs, or is there heavy duty springs to level it out? Have a chat with the guys, with Aaron actually, have a chat with Aaron over at the VW Monkeys, all one word, the VW Monkeys. We had a customer recently who had a saggy bottom, and he suggested either some HD springs, I think they're Sachs HD springs, or some spacers, just to bring that back end up. But if you are carrying a load on the likes of a T28, or if it's a camper conversion with extra weight, some HD springs are a worthy upgrade, that's for sure. So that is Aaron at the VW Monkeys. Give him a go. We featured kit from Aaron's. We featured kit from the VW Monkeys on our Project Lockdown T4, where we slammed it 100 mils. Awesome gear. And we also have been using equipment from the VW Monkeys on Bully, my campervan. Some excellent gear. Next comment. Where are we? Gosh, loads of comments tonight. We're only half hour in. Do excuse me if I'm blinking today. I feel like my contact lenses are going to get a little bit dried out. It's been a long week. Right. Next question, Stephen Hurst. Good evening, Stephen. He says, evening, I have a T5 Caravel, which I have full replacement set of speakers, head unit and subwoofer, camera and Shark a rail, so some panel removal and plug and play speakers. I have a T5 Caravel, which have a full replacement set of speakers, head unit. Is there a question in there, my man? Sorry. And Shark a rail, so some panel removal and plug and play speakers. Is there a question in there, Stephen? So sorry. It's the way it's written. If there's a question, please feel free to leave it down in the comments. But it sounds good to have, sounds like a good thing that you've got all those speakers there. Liz O'Toole. Hello, Liz. She says, hi again, all from Dublin, drinking double espresso and now getting ready for work. Oh, are you on the late shift, Liz? Or are you getting ready for work tomorrow morning? And trying to decide what to eat while listening. Well, thank you very much for joining in, Liz, as ever. Next question or comment is from Rural Saviour. Can you buy just the rails for curtains, as I didn't like the quality of the curtains from suppliers? I believe you can. I don't quite know which supplier would do that. But I believe, yes, you can buy the rails and the runners, and then you just have to buy your own material to get made to go in between those. But finding somebody who would do that, I don't know. But the reason you have the curtain sets with the top and bottom rails is because the material's actually got some stretch in it. So no matter which curtain set you have, the fact that they've got stretch in it means that you kind of get blackout all the way around, which is kind of the whole point of them. DMCC says, thanks, Leigh. Michael Travels, good evening, Michael. Roughly how long would a 0.7 amp hour compressor fridge last with a 100 amp hour AGM battery? Very good question. It depends on a few things. Did you get it cold before you left for your journey, or did you turn it on when you got to your off-grid location? What is the ambient temperature like? How much food or consumables or drink have you got in the fridge? And how good a condition is your battery? All of these are variables. I can give you a rough guesstimate on the battery and the fridge, but again, depends how healthy your battery is, how new your battery is. Roughly, a compressor fridge with a 100 amp hour battery is around, I'm going to say 2 to 3 days at a very rough guess, but generally 3 days, depending on the condition of your battery, the ambient temperatures, etc. I hope that answers your question. Motivate says, I'll add the pics to my Instagram and link as to how I did the momentary switch. $5 for the switch via Amazon and elbow grease, cheap as chips, well worth it. Good, I'm interested to see that. Simon Massey's come back and says the rust on my T5 is rear, right, jack point and sill. Interesting. Sill being replaced, but the rest seems surface rust, mainly from the arch trim failing and a build-up of dirt and moisture over many years. Yes, I've seen that before. So the plastic arch liners, they can crack or break or just go missing, and then you can get build-up of grime. That's a very, very good thing to do in terms of yearly maintenance, I would say, for your vehicle. If you have the time, you have the facility to actually remove those plastic liner trays from your wheel arches or even the whole bottom of the van and get in there, give it a good wash out, high pressure wash out, let it dry completely, maybe even spray some wax oil in there as well, give your van a really good chance of surviving another winter. I have to say I'm guilty of not doing that because my poor bully is a little bit worse for wear at the moment. I haven't washed him for a little while, so he's getting back up to snuff soon because we're going down to Run to the Sun in Newquay. So yeah, look forward to those videos coming up too. Adrian Johnson says, I'm sure in one of your videos you mentioned you were from Harrogate, as I am. What made you move down south? I was born in Harrogate because my dad was stationed in the military 39 years ago up in Harrogate. So yes, I was an army baby. I wasn't up there for much of my life, although technically I am a Yorkshireman. I moved straight from Harrogate to Germany, West Germany, I think for about another 12 months of my life, and then moved down south, which is where all of my family are from. So yes, I am a North Yorkshireman, but by location, not by family trait or anything like that. Michael Travel says, thanks, Leigh. Ballpark is all that was needed. It's a new battery. Have a good evening. Well, thank you very much. It's very good of you. So whereabouts are you all from? Adrian Johnson asked me the question about Harrogate and why I made the move down south. Where are you guys from? Where are you watching from today? Are you watching from your van, your living room? Are you in your hometown? Are you at work? Are you traveling? Where are you today? Let's get some comments going on down in the comments there. Whereabouts are you watching today? Always good to find out. John Sear says, when it comes to insulating the van floor, is the performance of the separate deadening and closed cell foam the same or similar to using the Dodo Deaden Duo? It's similar. It's not the same as the Duo. And in fact, there are some changes coming up to the Duo lineup. There is going to be a Duo Light Pro moving forward, and there is going to be a Duo flooring. Some people were getting confused as to what the Duo was really for, so they've added the name Floor into the Duo product line, mainly because people were trying to apply the Duo on all surfaces of the van to save themselves a bit of time. So rather than putting the 2mm down first and then a Vanliner Pro like the 5 or 8mm, they were trying to put Dodo Deaden Duo on the sides and trying to get away with it. The problem with that is it's just too heavy. As a product, the closed cell foam and the sound deadener are pressed together and stuck together at the factory, so that you know there is 100% contact adhesion. There is 100% contact between those two products, which is why the product would possibly perform better than, say, applying the 2mm and then the Vanliner Pro in two separate pieces. John Sear says, I'm in the Northeast, but originally from Luton. Nice work, John. Thank you so much. Whereabouts in the Northeast? Are we Sunderland? Are we Newcastle? Whereabouts? Scotty78 says, evening, do you have any recommendations for seat covers for a T6? I've not really used many, to be honest. However, what I can tell you is Heritage Parts Centre do a fantastic range of seat covers, and because we now have a partnership with Heritage Parts Centre, we can offer you a 10% discount code. Combe Valley 10 is what you need. So maybe you're going to have a look at the Heritage Parts Centre list or range of seat covers, and in the safe knowledge that you will get 10% off at the counter or at the checkout by entering Combe Valley 10. And that's for everybody out there. If you want anything from Heritage Parts Centre, and they do not just VW stuff, they do generic camping stuff, generic products too, even things like service kits. Go and check them out, and now you have an excuse to buy bits and pieces from them with a 10% discount code from us. Oh, cool, we got some locations coming in. Flying Benny says, Mid Wales, we run a holiday park. Give me a shout if you want to book a pitch. We're going to Wales very shortly. Whereabouts in Mid Wales? We spend, as a family, you've got us talking now. as a family, we spend a lot of time in Wales. We head up to Snowdonia a lot, and we go down to the Brecon Beacons a lot as well, because we do a lot of walking. So we would love to visit you in Mid Wales, that's for sure. And we have some friends over in Mid Wales too. Please send us the location. We are, in fact, as Campervan people, are you heading up to, oh, what's the name of the show, Dom? Dub Farm. There's the Dub Farm show up in Snowdonia in September. So maybe give that a go. You run a holiday park. Yes, we want to pitch Flying Benny, that's for sure. Thank you. Silver Fox Builds is Warren Berkshire on the sofa with a beer, not in a van or a shed for a change. You deserve the rest, my man. Danny Sykes says, sorry, Leigh, I'm from Yorkshire, so I'm taking you as one of ours. Yes, it used to really confuse my colleagues and peers in the army when I was the soft Southern fairy, and they used to love taking the mickey out of me for being the Southerner, because there's not many of us in the army, and then I'd trump all of them when I told them where I was born. So that always was quite amusing. M says, hi Leigh, I'm fitting a split charge relay to my T5.1 to charge a couple of leisure batteries. How many inline fuses do you normally fit, and at which locations? Thanks from Offaly in Ireland. Right, so we can actually provide a kit for wiring, but if you don't have one of our kits, we would normally, in fact, we've done video on this. If you have a look, in fact, what vehicle are you fitting it to? To a T5.1. So if you have a look at our channel, we have done fitting a split charge, and we do describing a split charge. If you're taking, well, you will be routing the cable from the battery. I would mount one fuse location in the battery tray, and then I would mount one fuse location after the split charge. So on the voltage out of the split charge before it reaches the battery. Okay, so one fuse after the battery termination in the battery tray in the engine bay, and then one on the live going out of your split charge module before it gets to the leisure battery or batteries. John Sear says, just south of Sunderland with a lovely view of the Durham coast. Sounds wonderful, my man. Tony's also saying, Flying Benny, where's the holiday park? Flying Benny says, right, Dom, can you check this out? It is spelt. I don't know how to spell it. Could you phonetically spell that for me, Flying Benny, please? Machenlith? Is that right? Machenlith? M-A-C-H. Are you Googling for me? My wife's in the wings there doing some Google checks for me. Machynnleth. Simon Massey says he's down in the sunny southwest in Plymouth. Silver Fox says, Flying Benny, do you have an IG? Excellent. Get on it. John Sear, will a split charge relay work in a T5.1? A better option would be a DC to DC charger. That depends if the T5.1 has a smart relay. Yes, I believe so. Old school alternator. James says, I'm from near Ely in Cambridgeshire. Excellent. We have loads and loads of people from all around the country. Absolutely love it. Thanks, Leigh. I have to restrict what I order from the UK, Brexit and import charges. I know as a distributor of parts, we have lots of headaches distributing anything to Ireland. Stephen Hurst has come in and says, sorry, comment confusing. Just saying I have a job of removing panels to fit it all. Have to put a weekend aside to do the job. Yeah, I can believe it, Stephen. This is Stephen who made a comment earlier about fitting all new speakers. Yeah, speakers, wiring, amps, live feeds. Yeah, I hear you, my man. Especially in a Caravelle too, there's a lot of stuff to remove. First of all, being the seats, and they are not light either. Holy crap, it's 44 minutes in. Thank you, everybody. But what I am seeing is only 13 thumbs up. Could everybody please give me a thumbs up? I would love it. I would absolutely love it. Bear Cheap Thrills, he says, I'm redoing my carpet lining and have been putting in the hidden clips, but they're not very secure compared to the old clips. Is this normal? What's the van, my man? What van are you putting the clips into, and what door card are you putting the clips into? Kieran T says, hi mate, chilling after breaking down and collecting a concrete sectional garage. Blimey, nice work. About 3 ton of material all weekend. Got home in time for a bath and to watch your video just after you released it. Nice work. So Bare Cheap Thrills Adventures has come back and said T6. Redoing my carpet lining, been putting in the hidden clips, but they're not very secure compared to the old clips. Is this normal? So where are they not secure? Are they not secure in the door cards, or are they not secure in the metal part? And where did you get your clips from? Did you get the invisible clips from us? Please let me know. Motivate says, is a smart alternator better or worse than a normal alternator when it comes to charging a leisure battery, or is it the same but different? I've got 2 videos on smart alternators, how to test for them, what they are, and how to check them. The smart alternator is primarily a device to reduce emissions on vehicles, mainly post 2017, like Blue Tech or Blue Motion, things like that. And they are designed to not put the engine under unnecessary load when idling. So it constantly monitors your battery and your usage, and it will almost turn off. Now, am I getting this right? It turns off the exciter to the alternator to stop putting a load on it. I guess it's the difference between if your alternator's working or providing your battery with power, it is under load because you're generating electricity. Whereas if it turns off, you're not generating electricity and your engine is under less load, meaning less emissions. I think that's right. I'm very tired. But in terms of charging from a smart alternator or a normal alternator, you can get over those, I'm not going to say restrictions, but you can get over those hurdles by fitting a DC to DC charger, which are fantastic pieces of kit. And we go through it in another one of our videos with James at Rain Automotive. Adrian Johnson, would you go for a rigid solar panel with an air gap or slim flexi stuck directly on the roof? Pros and cons. The rigid versus flexi panel for me is purely aesthetic, really. A rigid solar panel does perform better than a flexi solar panel because obviously if you're in the direct sunlight and the sun is heating up the black panel, it generates heat. And having a rigid panel with an air gap underneath does give you the ability to expel that heat, which means the solar panel is performing more efficiently, therefore providing you with more electricity. Yes, those people who are off-grid or in adventure vehicles, etc., prefer the function over form when it comes to solar panels, so we'll put solid panels on. They are more efficient. I hope that answers your question. Liz O'Toole has come back, said, yes, 2 weeks of night shift, but it's truck driving. So, woohoo. Nice one, Liz. I tried truck driving once. I do have my HGV license. I got it whilst in the military. I tried short haul. So, basically like a tough nose driver for a couple of days. And I couldn't stand it because everything I was doing was rural. So, it wasn't fun. I lasted 2 days. James Rowe says, hi, hope you can help. Looking at 12-volt fridges, would you recommend a Dometic CRX50, or would the Just Campers or Transporter HQ models be as good? I have not experienced the Just Campers model or the Transporter HQ models. However, Just Campers and Transporter HQ don't sell crap from my experience. The Dometic CRX50 is the go-to brand, has very good feedback, has very good reviews. I've fitted a ton of them. They are excellent fridges. Depends on your budget and your styling choice, I guess. I'm not going to say one's better than the other. However, for a very long time, Dometic CRX50 has been the go-to brand, but it is probably more expensive than most as well. Bear Cheap Thrills Adventures says, in the metal parts, oh, it's these. He's talking about the invisible clips. In the metal parts, they were old ones a mate gave me that he didn't use. Think they were from Harrison Trim Suppliers. So it's high chance that the older ones may not be fitting those holes. You can get different sizes of invisible trim clips. If you do want to have some new trim clips, we sell them on our website. I can't even remember. We sell them by 20 or 100. I can't quite remember, Dom. Invisible trim clips. 20s is the minimum I think you can buy them in. And they're at combevalleycampers.co.uk. Tony's just said, perfect explanation of smart alternators, Leigh. Thank you very much, Tony. Yeah, it's definitely a Sunday evening. It's definitely been a long day. I've actually done a full day's work as well on this splitty today. And obviously the clocks went forward as well, so a little bit less sleep. However, that's my problem. But I'm still committed to doing these because I absolutely love having these chats with you on a Sunday evening. Flying Benny says, Leigh, we are Morben ISAF Holiday Park. Give us a shout. I'm going to screen grab that. Bear with us. Oh no. Just as I went to screen grab it, the comment faded out. Bear with us 1 second. I'm going to do that again. There we are. Screen grab. Done. Right. John Sear, I'm sure I saw in the news that this week scientists have developed a printed solar panel film. Well, I'm going to have a look at that, John. First I've heard of it. James says, what solar panels would you recommend for the T5? Again, lots of variables there. What size system do you have? What size batteries do you have? Do you want do you want rigid or flexible solar panels? Do you have a pop top or not? Do you have skylights in the roof or vents, or do you just want to cover the entire roof with solar panels? Not just a very simple answer in terms of what solar panels I would recommend. In terms of brand, a named brand is always good. However, there are some excellent suppliers out there with excellent solar panels that aren't necessarily branded. Not much more I can say on that one, I think, James. Sorry for being a bit vague. Kieran T says, I wanted to ask how you got into VWs and started your garage unit. Have you already explained that? Thank you, Kieran. I've explained in previous videos and things like that, but for anybody who has missed those, I have been into VWs since I was very, very small. When I watched my first Herbie movie, I always said the first car I'd ever buy was a VW Beetle, and it was. It was a 1967 Beetle, which I absolutely loved, and I drove to Germany, had it in my military unit in Germany, etc., etc. But I always knew I wanted a garage. I always knew I wanted to do some form of work on VWs. I grew up reading Volksworld, always wanted to build show cars, etc., etc., etc. I went to join the military as a REME mechanic. I was that dedicated to doing it, and my love of cars and everything else. My old man said I couldn't go as a REME mechanic, and as a 16-year-old influential young man, I said, okay, I'll do something else. Anyway, long story short, I came out of the military, did lots of different jobs. I was in the high voltage industry, which was very, very interesting. But as my kids were growing older, I was realizing I had no time for my hobby. So I made my hobby my job, and hence started Combe Valley Campers, because I'd always enjoyed the campervan side, building campervans, building interior units, etc., creating homes out of vehicles, I guess. And Combe Valley Campers started in 2016 on £250, which was the rent of my first unit. That's about it. James Ray says, amazing. Thank you, Leigh. Motivate says, I saw my vehicle's paperwork that it's a T26 T6. I started freaking out as I thought I was limited to 2.6 tonnes, but in the paperwork it shows it can carry 3.5 tonnes. Could it have been modified as it was used for transport drinking water for businesses? I believe, good question, Motivate. Is it limited to carry 2.6 tonnes or limited to tow? No, it wouldn't be towing 3.5 tonnes. I can't answer that one, my man, I'm afraid. It may well have been modified. The 2K T5, for example, is a T30, but I know for a fact it carried really heavy machinery, and the rear springs, as I discovered, are actually extremely heavy-duty rear springs. And I think that's why the whole van was so knackered, because all it did was carry weights all day. So yes, it could well have been reclassified. It could have been modified. I believe all the chassis is the same. I believe it's the wheels, brakes, and suspension types that were modified to qualify it as a T26, 30, 32, 28, whatever it might be. Tony says, at Adrian Johnson, look at the layer of Axiom clear polycarbonate twin wall roofing sheet or similar between the flexible solar panel and the vehicle roof to allow the air to circulate. Good tip. I shall have a look at that as well. Taxi driver says, are flexi solar panels prone to easy damage? Not really. They're not prone to damage. However, no, they're not prone to damage, but I have replaced flexi solar panels as they've expired before, and I've never replaced a rigid solar panel because it's expired, let's put it that way. So I don't think their life is as long as a rigid. James says, why did you call it Combe Valley? I'm from a little town in East Sussex called Bexhill, and we have an area of Greenland, but you know, in between our town and the next, called the Combe Valley Way, or the Combe Valley Park. They built a link road through it, and it was called the Combe Valley Way. And they said when they were building the Combe Valley Way, they'd fit industrial units, or they'd build industrial units on that new link road. And so I thought, how cool will it be to have the business Combe Valley Campers with the address Combe Valley Way. I always like the name of doing a double-barreled named business anyway. And it became Combe Valley Campers, which, as I learned, is quite confusing because apparently there's a Combe Valley in Wales, there's a Combe Valley in the southwest, and there's a Combe Valley down in Dover as well. But we love it, and that's what it's always been, and it's what it always will be. Nick Marshall, T25, are the floor pan holes for the plastic accelerator pedal accessible from underneath, as my securing holes are enlarged and I want to fit nuts and bolts? Yes, they are. If it's right-hand drive, they are easily accessible. If it's left-hand drive, they're even more accessible. What is difficult to access on a right-hand drive is the actual linkage underneath the floor. Right, already that is an hour gone. We have 3 minutes left. I'm going to very quickly try and answer the remaining questions. If I can ask very politely not to ask any more, but if you have enjoyed your time here tonight, please be sure to give us a thumbs up, share the video when it goes up on YouTube. I would love that. It would be fantastic. Right, so last few questions. Motivate. Goggy says, either way, I'm so happy that it's not limited to 2.6 tons. That's awesome. Is there a way to check that springs have been modified? Springs from Volkswagen generally have paint markings or codes on them. Yours might be filthy dirty, so if you have the opportunity to clean them up and check them, yes, you can do that. Maybe check it at part number, a code, or even paint marks. Last one then. Archie Hadfield, thank you for joining us, Archie. Hey bud, I will be using a split charge relay system to charge a 100 amp hour AGM battery. Do you know roughly how well this system will charge up my AGM battery? Roughly going to use 20 amp hours a day. Split charge system for 100 amp hour AGM battery. That's an absolutely perfectly fine way to charge your battery, depending on how many miles you will be driving. If you're driving all day, you will find your battery rarely needs any third way of charging, so it won't need plugging in or solar. Yes, yeah, I guess the answer is it depends how far you drive in a day. You haven't mentioned that, so I'm not entirely sure. But having a decent, you want to go for, in terms of split charge system, the minimum requirement really is what's called a VSR, which is a voltage sensing relay. We have a whole video on that. Secondary to that, or an upgrade to that, would be a DC to DC charger, such as a C-Tech or a Victron DC to DC charger. Right, thank you, everybody. Once again, you have kept me amused for an hour. You've kept my brain grey matter ticking over again for another hour, and I've absolutely loved chatting to all of you. Danny Sykes says, absolutely legendary. Thanks for your time as always after a week of work. I know how hard it can be to juggle family and work life. Appreciated. No, it's my absolute pleasure, everybody. I absolutely love doing this, despite me being itchy. You know, my eyes are a bit tired today, so apologies for the constant rubbing of my eyes. John Sears says, thanks, Leigh, for a great live chat. You are more than welcome. M says, thanks. DMCC says, thank you, Leigh. James says, thanks, Leigh. Have a great week. Tony says, 2 minutes left, bud. Get some sleep. Yes, I will be going to sleep. Adrian Johnson says, thanks. Motivate says, very much appreciate you doing these Q&As. I'm learning so much. You are more than welcome. Archie Hadfield says, legend. Silver Fox Bill says, cheers, Leigh. Have a great week. Flying Benny says, thanks, Leigh. Scotty78 says, cheers. And that is me pretty much checking out today. Tony, that one, awesome people. Thank you so much. Again, if you haven't left a like, please do now. Thank you so much. Bye-bye. Oh, thanks, Mint Sauce. Last comment. Got you in there.